So you're buying a home. That's awesome. But it's a process, right? And it's full of surprises. One of the first things that pops up is this thing called an appraisal fee. It's a huge step, but it brings up a big question. Who's actually on the hook for that bill? Let's get you a straight answer right now.
Okay, so think about it. In any home sale, you've got your main characters, right? You've got the buyer, that's probably you, super excited about the house. You've got the seller, who's ready to move on, and then you have the lender, the bank, who's making the whole dream possible with the loan. So when that bill for the appraisal shows up, whose name is on it? Who's got to pay? All right, drum roll please. It's the buyer. Yep, the vast majority of the time, the person who foots the bill for that home appraisal, it's you, the buyer. But wait, I know what you're thinking. That simple answer almost always leads to a pretty logical follow-up question. And honestly, it's the number one question we get about this whole thing. And you're right to ask it. It totally makes sense. The lender is the one who's demanding this report to make sure their investment is safe. So why on earth are you, the buyer, the one who has to open up your wallet? Let's really dig into the why behind all this. Okay, it really all comes down to how the mortgage process is built. The whole system is designed to protect everyone's investment, yours and the lender's. And to do that, you've got to follow a specific set of rules. So here's the breakdown, the real reason why it works this way. First off, you can think of the appraisal fee as just a standard cost of borrowing money, kind of like an application fee. It's just part of the deal. Second, yeah, it protects the lender, for sure. But guess what? It also protects you from accidentally paying way more for a house than it's actually worth. And third, and this is the really big one, it's all about keeping things fair and independent. Think about it. If lenders paid for the appraisals themselves, they could lean on the appraiser to just hit the number they want. That would be a huge conflict of interest, right? This way, the whole process stays impartial. All right, so we've established you're on the hook for the fee. Bummer, but okay. The next big question is, when do you actually have to pay up? This is super important because, managing your cash while you're trying to buy a house is a big deal. So you've basically got two ways this can go down. The most common way by far is paying for it upfront, pretty much right after you apply for your loan. Lenders like this because it gets the ball rolling fast. The other, less common option is to have the fee rolled into your closing costs. You'll see it on that final stack of papers and pay for it at the very end. But either way, it's going to be listed clearly on your closing disclosure, so there won't be any last-minute surprises. Okay, so we've been saying the buyer almost always pays. Key word there is almost. So what about those rare unicorn moments when they don't? Let's take a look at the exceptions to this rule. So here's how this usually plays out. In a normal, standard transaction, it's the buyer's cost, plain and simple. But let's say it's a buyer's market. Things are a little slower. A really motivated seller might offer to cover the appraisal fee, just to make their property stand out from the competition. You can think of it as a little negotiation park, but honestly, don't count on it happening. And what about refinancing? Good question. Well, the same exact logic applies. Even though you already own the home, you're still the one borrowing the money in this new transaction. So yep, you're still the one responsible for paying that appraisal fee to figure out the home's current value. And you know what? Let's just clear up one more thing people sometimes get confused about. Your real estate agent, they're your guide, your expert, your advocate, but they are not your bank. The financial responsibility for the appraisal falls squarely on you, the buyer. Okay, deep breath. We need to talk about the one detail that catches more homebuyers by surprise than anything else. This is the absolute, non-negotiable, most important truth you need to know about the appraisal fee. I want you to burn this word into your brain, non-refundable. Because once that appraiser has done their job, that money is gone for good. See, you're paying for the service of the appraisal, not for a specific outcome. It literally does not matter if the wholesale falls through later. It doesn't matter if your loan gets denied. It doesn't even matter if you decide to back out of the deal for your own reasons. If the appraiser did the work, you have to pay them, period. So there you have it. The buyer pays, it's usually upfront, and it is absolutely non-refundable. Now that you know this, you can walk into your home purchase with your eyes wide open, feeling way more confident. The only real question left is, have you actually budgeted for it?